Are we just going for it?
Yeah, I'm just going to go for it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Sips, Riffs, and Flix. This is your co-host, Brandon Crouch, along with
Kevin Head.
So this episode, we're going to do a Flix. This is really more of a documentary.
Yes.
Some of you have seen it. Maybe some of you haven't. We talked about it on the last episode, but it's called Dark Side of the Ring. And for me, this is one of those, I'm going to call it a documentary. Maybe it's a docuseries. That even if you're not into wrestling, I think you would enjoy it because of the story.
Yes, I would say that's true.
So we'll just jump right in. We're not going to do this like a chronological episode 1, 2, 3, 4. But is there any in particular episode that just blew you away that you couldn't believe it?
There were several actually that did that for me. Some I know about. The Chris Benoit is a 2-part. It has a part 1 and a part 2. I had actually followed that one through the years and just kind of read stuff. So it's still really, really good, but it didn't necessarily surprise me. I did not remember the Superfly Jimmy Snuka story. And that one, it was such a crazy story that I didn't know anything about. That one stands out too. But the definite number one is the Von Erich one.
Oh, man. So you hit on a lot right there. Let me back up. So
I like to give big answers.
So the first one you said was, who was it?
The Chris Benoit.
The Chris Benoit one.
Yeah.
You know, it's tragic what happened to him, and I feel so bad for his son. Like,
yes.
You know, his from his first marriage.
Yeah.
Like how awful it is for him. He lost his entire family except for, his biological mom.
Right.
But so sad.
It is.
And when you see it, man, you almost cry.
Yeah, because he, you can tell how uncomfortable he is talking about the whole time.
The whole time.
Like he almost has like his coping mechanism was to laugh when he talks. He laughed a lot when he would talk about it, but you could tell that he struggles still. And that happened when, like,
2017? No, 2013.
I was gonna say earlier than that. I don't remember now, but it's been at least 10 years ago.
You would think as professional podcast hosts, we would know. No,
I don't think we're professional.
But no, the other part about that, what I found interesting is it hits on the CTE aspect for wrestlers. I think that's a sport that we probably really hadn't thought, like how all the bumps they take to the head and falls and the trauma, that they go through.
And the interesting part of that one is, one of his finishing moves was he did the like the flying headbutt off the turnbuckle. He had somebody before him that was their finishing move, and they told him not to do that as a finishing move. The person before that person had also told that guy, which I don't remember their names, but not to do it either. So, like, they were warned ahead of time, like, this is not a good move to use for finishing move, but they went ahead and did it. And all 3 of those people have had a lot of issues with concussions and everything.
And not even that finishing move, but, the one with Hulk Hogan where he would drop that leg on you.
Yeah.
He's had 10 back operations.
Yeah.
And it's from his finishing move where his spine is just constantly pow, pow, on the mat.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out the Chris Benoit one for sure. That one is.
It's good.
It's tragic.
And it is. It's so sad because he was also, all of them are, professional entertainers, athletes. They become famous. But he was definitely he is basically thought of as one of the best wrestlers to ever do it as far as just technical, to entertain. Like all the other wrestlers talk about him being one of the best they ever worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he's completely wiped from, like, nobody can even say his name.
Like he never existed.
Right.
The reason that, and I think they even said it on the documentary, that episode, that he didn't get his real big shot, like become the big, champion, was because of his size.
Right.
And what does that tell you? Give a little man a chance. Bam!
Because he was small,
yeah,
height-wise. He was still super muscular. But
vertically challenged. And then the other one you talked about was Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I actually knew about that.
I didn't remember that story at all.
How that turn of events came full circle for him.
Yeah.
And what shoddy police work.
Bad, yeah.
Do you think that they were paid off? Because I'll tell you, when they talked to was it the detective or the sheriff? I feel like he was a little uncomfortable with his own answers.
He did seem like he was very scared he might say something wrong.
Yeah, no, I can't recall. Yep, did best could.
Yep.
Next.
Case closed. Gotta go.
Gotta go. Look at the time.
Yeah, that was weird. That whole story, everything was really, really weird.
That disappointed me, though. I didn't know it as a kid. As I got older, I heard the story, but I was a big Jimmy Superfly Snuka fan. And I want to say he lived around here for a while, maybe with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
I feel
maybe
like
I'm thinking of Ricky the Dragon.
Yeah, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's definitely like a Mooresville. He lives in Mooresville.
Yeah, or Cornelius or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, see, I just wasn't I didn't grow up a wrestling fan. Like,
No?
I watched it when I was younger, like, obviously, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Ric Flair. I mean, I knew everybody, but I didn't grow up watching wrestling. Wrestling's never been a big thing for me to watch.
Oh, man, that was life when I was a kid. I used to have a My Buddy doll that I put red marker on his forehead. That was his blood. I beat him in the mornings. And I used to wear him out. Don't worry. Nothing to be concerned about. But I actually had a big box, like that tote, full of old AWA wrestling magazines.
Yeah.
There's probably 75 to 100 in there.
Really?
Yeah, I'll throw them away.
Should have kept.
Probably should have kept them. But yeah, I was huge into wrestling. Then I had a lapse 12 to 15, 16 years old, and then it came back around.
Right.
It became popular again.
Well, and like right now, I have no idea who wrestles or anything. Like, I've not watched wrestling in 15 years.
You just need to know Braun Strowman. He's local.
I do know him. Would love to get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
For discussion, that is.
We'll have him talk.
Okay.
Our people talk to his people.
All right.
Now, the other one you did talk about was Last of the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
Man, what like a Greek Roman or like Kennedy tragedy.
I mean, that's the craziest story and worst luck for a family I have ever heard of.
Terrible.
Unbelievable.
Did you not feel like the one brother who lives in Hawaii, and who goes and like hangs out in a tree just to get away?
Every day. He said he tries to shelter every day.
In a tree. And he's barefoot.
He is barefoot, and jeans are super
but
dirty.
But wrestled barefoot too. I know. You think he bathes?
He did not look like
He doesn't look like he's mentally healthy. God bless him.
He has had a rough go at it for sure. But he said, okay, so I'm definitely going to get this wrong. But so there were 5 brothers, right?
I think total.
So one died when he was really little. He got shocked.
He got shocked. Was it shocking?
He was electrocuted.
That is right.
And they struggled with that. So then the next one
was the brother.
3 of them committed suicide, right?
Well, one died in Japan from gastroenteritis.
Yeah.
And
then 2 committed suicide.
Oh.
So that's 2 or 3.
Because Carrie did too.
Carrie, I don't feel prepared for this podcast.
Well, it's because we're not supposed to be prepared. We're just 2 dudes.
I was thinking it was 3 that committed suicide. So 1 got electrocuted, 1 died in Japan before a wrestling match, and I think it was 2 or 3 committed suicide.
Right, and then there's just this one guy left, and his dad didn't kill himself though.
No. But then the other one, I mean, he had his foot amputated and then wrestled for 2 or 3 years and nobody knew about it.
Right. See, I remember Kerry Von Erich, and when he came to the WWF as the Warrior.
He had a fake foot at the time.
A fake foot, and nobody knew about it. And dude, you want to talk about a guy who looked like a bodybuilder. This dude was chiseled out of stone. And
had perfect hair. I mean, that family, them boys had it all.
They did.
And then had nothing.
And I just wonder, like, the brother who is still alive, like, does he have royalties? How does he make money? How do you live in Hawaii?
I have no idea.
Because I feel like it's way more expensive than traveling.
It's got to be. It's got to be. But so you know what, now that I really think about it, out of every episode, that Von Erichs, that one is really, really good.
It's the best one. Well, for me, it's the best one.
It was good. What's the guy's name that I was telling you? Gorgeous George. Is that his name? Yeah, Gorgeous Gino.
The Mysterious Death of Gorgeous Gino?
Yeah. That one was crazy too. And I don't remember that guy at all.
Neither.
But he was definitely the early version of Ric Flair.
So, agreed.
Like his promos, the way he talked, everything. I feel like Ric Flair based a lot of his character off that guy. I don't know if he did, but in my opinion, he did.
So what do you think happened to him?
I don't know. There's so many different weird stories they told about it.
That guy who was the drug leader or whatnot, who went up there and spoke at his death and paid for the funeral.
Paid for the funeral.
All the family was like, who is this guy talking?
Yeah, I definitely think that guy did something, had something to do with it, but I don't know if it was like he owed people money or I don't know. There was a bunch of stories, but there again, you got a guy who was, I mean, he was supposed to be at the top also, but then here he is dealing in cocaine and stuff when he's not wrestling. It was weird.
I think you're going to see, if you guys dive into this, because there's 2 seasons, and it's like 16 episodes total. Mm-hmm. But you're going to see that, number one, wrestling the outcome may be predetermined, but I think it is so unfair for anyone to call it fake anymore. To see what these wrestlers put their body through, because they have to be tremendous athletes, and those falls are not fake.
Yeah.
Those chairs, watch some of these episodes, and these dudes are getting cracked open in the head with these chairs.
They even talked about, like, back in the older days, like, they said, we were seriously hitting people with chairs. Yes. They were like, we were trying to hurt each other with chairs.
And so, yes, outcome predetermined, fine. But to say fake, I'm telling you what, I'm not jumping off the top turnbuckle. Land my forehead on your forehead. It's not going to happen. And just doing that 300 times, 300 nights a year.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think a lot of them make a ton of money.
I don't think
there's like a select handful that really make a good living.
Yeah. I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, I think, make money from merchandise and stuff like that. But you have to get to that level that people want to wear your T-shirt too. Mm-hmm. But sure. Yeah, I think the overall theme of it is how tough it is, because I feel like every one of them, I feel like the ones that have done it for a very long time, let's just say Hulk Hogan, for instance. I mean, he's extremely lucky to have made it this long, but he's in pain every day.
Oh, God.
Who knows if he's
4 inches shorter, too.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, you just have these guys that, like, these are showing, like, when they are not in the ring, just how bad their lives are. I mean, for real, their lives are awful.
The other part, like, if you're a new wrestling fan, you're going to go back and see these people wrestling in front of like 200 and 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like you see it today with all the cameras and the lights and the pyro. Speaking of going back, the one that was just blue, which was really funny to me, was the cocaine and cowboy boot.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I cannot remember that dude's name.
I don't remember his name either.
But if you just want to watch one and laugh, and you want to hear about a bunch of wrestling, cocaine, hookers, and money.
Yeah, that one was funny. And one of the people they interviewed for that one lives in, like, South Carolina. Or he was from, like, Anderson, South Carolina.
He was a manager.
Yeah.
For a team.
He was like, I come from a Baptist community. I hadn't seen anything like that. And here I am in a hotel room with a table full of cocaine and hookers.
He goes, he'll straight out of them adult movies. But he walked away. He didn't indulge.
Yeah, that's what he says.
He did.
The Owen Hart one is really good. That one was a sad.
Dude, that one will absolutely break your heart.
Because I feel like he was one of the more normal ones out of the bunch. Like, he seemed to have a really good family life. He seemed to just be kind of the same person in and out of the ring. Like, his persona wasn't a crazy person or anything. He just seemed to be a really good guy, and that was just really unfortunate.
Yeah, no one's had a bad thing to say about him at all. And it's sad how he died. It should have happened. It was a careless thing. 2 things that I cannot believe. I cannot believe he fell that far, landed on his head. You can see the blood splatter on the mat.
Yeah.
And they continued to wrestle. And Rob Ross had to come on and tell everybody, like, Owen Hart has passed away, and this is real. And then number 2, it also showed me the cold-hearted side of what just not a good human, to me, Vince McMahon is. For what he did to the wife and how he was trying to skirt things. I mean, you're a $1 billion industry. You can get the best safety team to do a useless stunt like that anyway.
Right.
Entering the ring, and they did it.
I feel like, and this is just my opinion. I don't know if it's true, but this is my opinion. I think Vince McMahon has been involved in a lot of backdoor dealings with several wrestlers' families, and accidents and things that have happened, because there's been, since he's been like Mr. Wrestling, when you see some of these documentaries, there's like 5 different World Wrestling like Federation places or whatever. And then basically Vince McMahon just kept scooping up the best ones out of each one and made wrestling what it is today. I feel like he's had a lot of wrestlers die due to steroid use, concussions, CTE, all the different stuff. There's been several. God, there's been so many suicides.
A lot of suicides.
I definitely think he's been involved in some backdoor dealings to stay out of court for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah, and heart attacks. 2 more that I think we'd have to mention, and I would hate myself if we didn't, is the Road Warriors. That one, I had no idea that those dudes were just huge, but were bouncers in a bar.
Yeah, and didn't even know each other.
No.
And somebody was like, you should meet this guy. He looks exactly like you. Because one of them's quoted as being like, wait a minute, there's 2 of these guys?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we should put them together.
And I didn't realize what type of a maniac Hawk was.
Yes.
He was a person that was absolutely to the extreme. Could you imagine running in that big old bastard in a bar?
I do not want to.
He would rip your head off.
Yeah.
And he could do it easily.
That was the first one I watched out of all these. That was the first one I watched because I definitely was a Road Warriors fan when I was younger.
Oh, gosh.
Like, I don't know what age I was. I had to have been 5, 6, 7, something around there. But I can remember watching wrestling on Saturday mornings. Like, I do remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a certain age. And the Road Warriors was probably some of my earliest memories.
I really wish that Saturday morning wrestling was bad.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing like waking up, ringing that bell, ding, ding, ding. But I didn't realize they had to change their name from Road Warriors to Legion of Doom when they went over to the WWF.
Yeah, I didn't
because of Kerry Von Erich and the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have.
Because they were called the Warriors or what?
They were the Road Warriors, but Kerry Von Erich was the Warrior.
The Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Right.
So they had to change to Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's why that all happened too.
But how, I was glad to see that he kind of turned his life around.
Yeah.
And was in a good place when he passed. A lot of these guys have died of heart attacks too.
Like 80% of them.
Yeah. Including.
Ooh, yeah. That was a good episode. God, that was a good episode. I love Macho Man though. That episode's good. So this is what I found interesting about Macho Man. Can we move on to that one now?
Yeah, sure.
I find it interesting that every person they interview, when they were interviewing them, if they said anything that Macho Man said, they did it in a Macho Man voice. Like even Hulk Hogan's ex-wife, she did it too. So apparently he never left character, ever. Like they were all friends hanging out, and he was still Macho Man. Like that's just what he was.
That's one of the big takeaways, I think, not just from him, but others. And even in the 30 for 30 with Ric Flair documentary, Ric Flair has had a hard time of not being the nature boy.
Yeah. Right?
And so I think the quote that they said was, what is it? Art depicts life and life depicts art. Mm-hmm. And Randy, the Macho Man, it all blurred for him. So he got lost in the storyline in real life.
Right.
When he thought that Hulk was having an affair with Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Which who knew that they were really married before they got married on TV?
Right. And they actually ended up making part of the story, the wrestling story, because it was so real. They almost used Macho Man. They were like, well, it's already going. Let's just keep it going. Yeah. And it was truly affecting him.
Oh, God. Yeah, to his core. Another part of Vince McMahon using someone, imagine a toy that had on his emotions, but then not to. I had no idea she was having an affair with Lex Luger. No, at all. And then when she died, she was with Lex Luger doing pills and drugs and all kinds of stuff. Who would have ever thought Queen Elizabeth would have down that path? The funniest part of that, though, the whole story is tragic, and apparently Macho Man was awful to her. Yes. So she left one relationship with some crazy wrestler that was beating her. To go to Macho Man, who was crazy and beating her, then to Lex Luger, which I don't know. I don't think he did anything. I think he got her addicted to drugs. But, she was with the other guy that was the promo guy. Oh, that was the wrestler that was crazy. Yeah. And she was the dark fallen angel or something with him. Right? Oh, God, are we mixing them up? No, I think that's true. There was another one, remember? Yeah. That one's true. It's true. We'll go with it.
But one of the funny things is Hulk Hogan's ex-wife's telling the story about they're all in Florida hanging out, and Elizabeth's been there, and Macho Man shows up at the front door, and she answers the door, and he goes, "Where's Elizabeth?" And I mean, and she does the voice too, but and then she even says, because that's how he talked. Like, he talked like that.
Could you imagine waking up in the morning like, "Where's the coffee? I want some scrambled eggs."
and apparently that's exactly how it was. Oh, he would be so much fun to hang out with. But then, so he died of a heart attack driving a car. I mean, all these people are dead, you know?
I think he died of a broken heart. From Miss Elizabeth.
That definitely, for real, helped seal his fate.
It did.
So today, I actually just today watched the, I can't think of his name now. The super big guy with the long black hair.
Bruiser Brody?
Bruiser Brody,
oh,
yeah. So I just watched it this morning.
Dude.
And, God, that was crazy. That was crazy. He got murdered in the locker room before a match. And that whole story is crazy. Like, nobody even knows really why.
An eyewitness. He was stabbed. They hid the knife. Watch that one.
Yeah,
He'll talk about some corrupt crap.
That one's crazy, because then you have Tony Atlas as the witness, which, you know, I completely forgot that he wrestled at all. Mm-hmm. I remember him being the big bodybuilder guy.
Was that in Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
It was.
Mm-hmm. And he got stabbed, and the whole story is like, he was trying to buy into whatever wrestling outfit that was. Somebody else didn't want him to buy into it because he was going to write them out. So there was a bunch of crazy stories. But his wife, his widow, told about she would take him to the airport, and he would be in the car, have his hair pulled back, and just be husband and dad, drop him off. And when he walked out of the car door, he'd let his hair down, and he would become Bruiser Brody, because he said nobody could ever see him not be Bruiser Brody.
And like Ric Flair, no one could see him not be the Nature Boy.
Yeah.
I had no idea Gorilla Monsoon was a big investor in that company down there. I remember him as a commentator with WWF.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
But that's tragic too, man. That his son. Oh, with him, how he passed away, holding that picture of his son in his hand.
Yeah.
Man, get out of here.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. So even if you're not a wrestling fan, or my wife would actually enjoy them if she would watch them, because of the story. It brings a human element and aspect to these, what we know as characters. So you get to see some of them in a stripped down, exposed version of their real selves.
Right. And it's definitely binge worthy. And
you can find it on Viceland. But if you don't have DVR or Viceland, you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
On Viceland, I think.
Probably. Yeah. And I have Hulu, so I just pull up the Viceland channel and I have it DVR'd that way. So if you have Hulu, you can find it too.
All right. So you good?
I think so.
Would you recommend Dark Side of the Ring?
Definitely Dark Side of the Ring. I would definitely recommend Dark Side of the Ring.
Yep. And you find a character that you like or that you remember as a child or whatever, start there and just knock them out.
Yep. And as always, subscribe, like, share. If there's some show you think we should talk about, let us know. We're big fans of Billions. I feel like we'll probably do a show on that. I don't know. We hadn't really talked about what we're going to do.
There's a lot of stuff that we hadn't talked about.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Plan. All right. Well, good.
That's it.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.